Hey guys, I hope everyone is doing well. So as you can see by the title, we're talking about reasons why your period may have stopped. So number one, let's talk about calories and weight. I would argue this is probably the most common thing I see when people do lose their periods. This is definitely the thing that comes up the most in clinical practice for me. The most common thing we hear about is the weight. If you're underweight, that can halt your period, which is definitely true. But I would go a little bit further to say really what it's down to is the calorie intake, because sometimes I have clients who are a healthy weight, but the reason their periods have actually stopped is because they're actually under eating calories. So I do think there is a little bit of a fine line there. Now, the reason why having a low calorie intake or just generally being underweight can affect your periods is it actually affects your hypothalamus. So as a recap, your hypothalamus is your master endocrine gland. So basically that is like the big boss, basically. That is the boss of the company that tells everyone what to do in terms of your hormones. And when you are under eating or have a low body weight, that function actually really gets disrupted. And another thing to mention is that this disruption also affects your luteinizing hormone, which is the key hormone needed for ovulation. And of course, if you're not ovulating, then that can be a clear reason, why your periods may have stopped. So I really can't emphasize enough, make sure you're eating enough calories. This is actually something that is quite an eye-opener, because even myself, when I lost my period for over a year, this was actually the reason I lost mine as well, because I was so down the rabbit hole of healthy eating, which is great on one hand, but I was so obsessed with it that actually a lot of the healthy foods I was eating were actually really not calorie dense at all. So although I was filling my plate with a lot of food, it wasn't calorie dense. So yeah, regardless of how much I was eating, I just wasn't meeting my calorie needs. So I really recommend doing an exercise where, for a couple of days, you maybe use an app or something just to see how many calories you're having, and just it's a good eye-opener just to see what you are actually putting into your body. Okay, number two, let's talk about exercise. So the main concern here with exercise is more when people go overboard with exercise and they are essentially just doing too much and the body doesn't respond well to that either. It actually kind of puts the body under a bit of stress, and that is what will lead to disruptions with the hormones. The other thing actually to mention is that this actually ties in really well with the first point about the calorie intake. If you are ramping up your exercise, you've got to make sure that your calorie needs are also supporting that as well, because your energy expenditure is going up. So just have a little look at how much exercise you're doing. Try not to overdo it. Hormones, they need balance. Let yourself have some rest days, and also look at the kind of exercise you're doing. So of course, do your cardio stuff, your HIIT workouts and your high intensity stuff, but also balance it with a little bit of maybe yoga, Pilates, something a bit more gentle on the body. It could even be doing some gentle swimming or something like that, and that will also just create a nice balance for the body and be really supportive of your hormones. Number three, stress. So this is such a loaded word. So stress has come up in a couple of my most recent videos. The best way I explain it is it's a suppressor. So basically, when our body is under stress, actually I'll tell you the best way to explain this is our body every single month when we have our period and when we have our menstrual cycle, basically, our body is prepping for pregnancy every single month. Now, if you are under a lot of stress, our bodies are incredibly clever, and our body will detect that we are not in an environment and a state to hold a pregnancy. So your body will shut everything down. So that is the best way to explain it, and that's what I mean by stress is a suppressor. It shuts things down, it holds things to a stop. Definitely take a step back and think, what is your stress load like? And if it is very high and you're finding it hard to unload that stress, then focus on stress managing techniques, looking after your self-care, making sure you've got something that you do every single day that you love and enjoy. It could be small little things like making a cup of tea in the evening and reading a book or listening to a podcast, I don't know, whatever it might be. Just make sure you do something every day that's for you and it's your time, and that helps you just calm and relax. Other things I love are like Epsom salts baths, so you can put magnesium salts in the bath they're really lovely and relaxing. But definitely I always, you know, my philosophy is always get to the root. So if there is big stresses there in your life, then definitely have a little look at them and just see if there's anything that you can change just to kind of unload that stress. Please don't overlook stress, because it really has a big impact on the body. It's not just about your menstrual cycle. Stress affects our immune system. It can affect our skin. You know, we can see our acne starts flaring if we're under stress. Psoriasis can start coming up under stress. Please do not look over this point, and definitely have a little check on your stress levels. Right, number 4, another little diet link here is a low carb diet. Now, I feel like this is a bit like a controversial topic, as you would say. I don't even know if it's controversial, but I feel like it's a bit of a delicate area, because I know, especially on the internet, you know, people are very firm with their beliefs on certain diets. So I know people are really for the low carb diet, and I'm not saying, you know, bad, I'm not bashing it, but I'm just saying in terms of hormones, for some individuals, having a low carb diet really isn't the best option for them. In fact, men actually function better on low carb diets than women. I'm always a bit hesitant when people go on low carb diets. You know, do it very gently, really being intuitive with how you feel. And I was reading a book recently, and it's very interesting because they were saying in this book, if you're thriving on a low carb diet, also ask yourself though, is it really the low carb diet, or is it the fact that you've maybe cut out wheat, maybe you've cut out grains, and you're taking more inflammation out of the body, which your body was maybe not responding well to before? Like, is it that, or is it just being generally low carb? Do you know what I mean? There's a little bit of fine line there between the two. Low carb diets can actually, in some people, it can affect their ovulation function. So if you're not ovulating, then again, yes, of course, that's gonna cause your periods to stop. Besides that, very low carb diets in women can actually affect their thyroid function, and also it can increase cortisol. So all I would just say on this point is, if you have lost your period, I would just think to yourself, you know, are you following a low carb diet? And if you are, potentially maybe try just increasing the carbs to see if that supports regaining your menstrual cycle. Because if you've lost your menstrual cycle, that is a clear sign of your body saying, hey, something's not right, this isn't working for me. Okay, so number 5, the next point is all about soy. And really all this is about is just having too much soy. So particularly the phytoestrogens you get inside soy, having too much of that can actually halt people's periods, or even just make it a lot lighter. So maybe you haven't necessarily lost your period, but maybe you'll notice all of a sudden your period is super light. Actually, excess soy intake can be one of the culprits for this. So just have a little look at the sources of food that you're having. You know, if you have gone vegetarian or vegan, you know, are you relying a lot on soy-based foods? You know, maybe try and switch up your sources. Maybe instead of making like soy-based burgers, you make them from beans, for example. Like, play around with ingredients and maybe just reduce that soy intake a little bit. Okay, and then the next reason for losing your period, and I should have really started with this, but you know, pregnancy. I feel like that is kind of the self-explanatory one. I was kind of umming, do I even put it in the video? But you know, it's on this topic, so I have to just include it. Yeah, of course, you know, if you have lost your period, you're sexually active, I would definitely just check that it's also not a little baby that's causing that. Okay guys, so they're the most common reasons I tend to see for people's periods stopping. So I really hope this video has helped. If you do want more content around this, then just let me know. Please do give this video a thumbs up if you found this helpful as well. Just a quick little note before we leave. I do have very few slots left in July, but I've also got some slots available in July, August, that's next month. I didn't mention this at the beginning, but I'm a naturopathic nutritionist and I do work with clients one-to-one. So yeah, if you are interested in working one-to-one to me, I do have a couple of slots left, and I'll leave all that information down below along with my website. But anyway guys, I really hope you have a wonderful day. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel before you leave so you don't miss the next video. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Mwah. Bye.